Guys, welcome back to Flathead Ron's Garage. Today we're going to do a cool project. We're going to make an overflow tank for your hot rod or your rat rod, or just to hang it up on the wall over there in the garage. Yeah, we're going to show you how to take a vintage brass fire extinguisher. Now, I've got one over there with the mount. I've made a whole bunch of these. And I've got them all the way up and down the East Coast. Got one in Hawaii, got one up in Canada, got a couple in Alaska. I've got them all over the U.S. But I haven't made any in a while. So I just thought I'd share this with you guys to give you the opportunity to get something that's homemade, something you can do at home with very minimal tools. All I'm going to need is a tank, some solder, some clippers, and a few extra brass parts. So before we get started on that, I want to share something with you. I got some channel stickers the other day from Woods Creek Workshop. He's got a few things up here, and I was just going through a couple of his videos here. Just thought I'd check out his channel. Anyway, here's a couple of his stickers that he sent me. He's up in Monroe, Washington. So you guys make sure that you check him out. Looks like he's got some nice videos here. I'm going to have to start a Woods Creek Workshop watch-a-thon. Okay? Anyway, we'll have his stickers added to my little sticker board here that seems to be getting a little crowded. I might have to add another one to it, and we're going to have to move it somewhere where we've got more room. So if you guys keep sending them in, I'll get a bigger board. How about that? But anyway, check out Woods Creek Workshop. Now let me show you what we're going to do with this overflow tank. Okay guys, we're handheld underneath the car cover that wants to keep coming down over my ride. But anyway, I've got this flathead here. Yeah, that's why they call me Flathead Ron. That's my favorite motor. Anyway, got this really cool overflow tank I made out of an aircraft fire extinguisher, probably 1950s vintage, mid-50s, late 50s. So I've got a little mount over there. I used the original bracket and just bolted it onto my tank. And these things are real simple to make, and I'm making them out of just extra scrap that I've got laying around. And here's what they look like before. Well, they're not the same one. This one didn't have a gauge, but this will give you an idea of what you can do. This one here's still got the original OD green paint on it. So let's go back inside the shop and I'll get this thing started. Okay. Here's the tank we're going to be working with. This is a real similar tank. I unsoldered the top, I put this piece on it, and then soldered it all back together and put a little petcock on the bottom. And what this was my oiler for my horizontal part of my mill until I got myself flood coolant and mist coolant and all that kind of stuff. But the only real tools you're going to need is a propane torch, some solder, some flux, a cutoff wheel, and a drill that I don't have up here, and some drill bits. So let's go ahead and pop this off of here. We're going to use this original bracket, but when we unsolder, there we go. When we unsolder this, you see that this plugs in the back of the tank. I'm going to rotate the top so it's over the label part. And that way you'll be able to undo the top and fill the tank. So, and you should take these outside and make sure that there's nothing in them before you start messing with them. I've already cleaned this one out. And you're going to get a lot of extra material. There's all kind of solid brass and brass tube and extra parts in here you're going to get. So let me go ahead and get a torch and I'll light that. Oh, let me go ahead and get a match and I'll light my torch. And we'll go ahead and take this apart. it doesn't get that hot. I'm trying not to take off too much paint here. I kind of like to leave it with an original finish, an old finish. Now you see some of that paint's blistering off and the solder's coming out now. That's moving. There we go. And there's what you got. Whoa, still got a little water in it. Here, let's clean this up first and I'll show you what I got inside here. We won't need the torch until later. Just go ahead and make sure it's off. And here's what you've got inside the can. You've got this here, which is the outlet for the spray. We're going to drill this out and this tube will just fall right out. This thing is pressed in there. It's not just soldered. It's pressed in there and it's squished in there, and it's a mechanical fit. And this is the pump, and this is all copper and brass. This tube here I believe is copper and this one's brass, and with all this other lead around it. So all we're going to do, and that's still warm, I just tried touching it. All we're going to do is we're going to cut this off to take the handle off, because we're going to solder the handle to the top of this. It won't be moving anymore, and we need it to be watertight. So go ahead and get the Dremel plugged in. Now you got all that for parts or whatever you want to do with it. And you have the top here with the one I've cut off, and what I'll do is I'll cut this off just a little farther up here. That way when I put it in I can just solder right around the edge. There we go. And just make sure it's locked on there. Now just trim it down to match that and solder it all up. And this we'll use to fill it, and it will go now in the front, since it doesn't matter where it's clocked. And that just makes it easier to fill the tank. So now what we're going to do, I've got a 3/8 drill bit on the end of this. We're going to, I've got a collection here of old brass fittings, new brass fittings, just all kinds of different stuff. We're going to put a 3/8 barbed for the inlet on the overflow tank for the bottom. The bracket already has a hole in it for the bottom, so this will fit in it with no problem. It clears it. We're not going to drill it and tap it and screw it in, because not everybody has taps. So I'm assuming that everybody has access to some kind of drill, and you can drill this, set it in there and solder it. I've never had one come out, and I've never tapped one of these, because in the beginning I was just using all kinds of odds and ends, and some of them didn't have good threads. So that's where I ended up with that. Nothing's got any torque. There we go. And the rod just falls right out. There we go. Okay. Kind of cleaned it up. It's got a rough edge on the inside. There we go. Okay. You know, we might have a change of plans. I might just want to thread this one because they usually don't come out. Oh no, I see it's starting to let go on the inside. Let me get just a little larger drill bit and I'll be right back. Okay, I think I've got it now. Whoa! There we go. That's got a lot of torque. So you can just about screw it in, but we're going to put some solder on it anyway. So what I'll do is I'll take the Dremel and clean this area up here, get it ready for some solder. Now, okay, we'll go ahead and put this in here. And I'll clean the top up and we can get the top back on there. And I just want it so it slips back together. I know it was already tinned with solder, but it wouldn't slip back together. There we go. I can give that a little tap and it'll go right down on there. Okay. So let's go ahead and get a vise over there here to hold this, and I'll solder this one up. And I definitely don't want to pick that up, so there. Now we'll take it over here. I should point out the main reason I'm not threading this is there's not enough thickness in here. If I was to drill it out anymore, or if I was to try to tap it, there's just a hair holding it in there. This was just like a nipple that was put in there and squashed flat. and that's all it was. And once it pops out, all I have is the outside wall. That ought to work. Okay, now we've got this one on here. That'll work nicely. I'll set it over here and let it cool. Let's get a good size wrench on this. There we go. This is going to be the fill hole right here. So I'll leave this off. Yeah, the tank's nice and clean on the inside. Of course, you guys can sink, put it in the water if you want, clean it out, do whatever you'd like with it. I mean, it's not gonna hurt anything. And I'm just going to heat it hot enough to walk that solder around it. So now the next thing that's going to be is to just put a little bit of solder right up here on the top. Nice. Now we'll let that cool down. Make sure it doesn't fall off of here. My luck. So now we've got to do the mount. So on this, I'm going to be putting a hole in the top of that, and it's going to have an attachment right here. And so what I'll do is I'll spread this apart and I'll form it around the top of the fire extinguisher. We want to put it in here. And see the barb 3/8 hose goes right down there on the bottom. And this will spring right up over the top, snap on like that. I mean, odds are probably not, but if you have this much coolant in here and your motor's hot and it's, put this much coolant back in here, it's going to be a little weight rolling around in there. So yeah, I think that will be a good idea. And instead of using a short one like this, I found a long one and I've already split it, brass cotter key. And the idea is to put the hole in it and then wrap it around here so it'll hold that on, and that way when you want to take it off, you just take the screw out of this end. Okay, let me get a drill bit for this, and I'm just drilling it right where this dimple is here. It'll line up better this way, I think. There we go. Okay. Okay. Got a little nut and a screw here. I'm putting it on there like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around the neck here, and then I'll trim it off and solder it to the neck. I know it looks ugly, but give me a couple minutes, it'll look a lot better. So what I'm going to do on it now is I'm going to take it into the garage there on my wire wheel, the bigger wire wheel, and I'm just going to dress that up a little bit. I think it looks pretty good. And then we'll figure out where we're going to put the drain for this tank, because as you know, if your car's getting really hot, you might throw out more than a quart of water, especially when you're trying to keep about a third of a quart on reserve after your motor cools. So if you just by chance get really hot and push a whole bunch of water in here, it doesn't have anywhere to go right now. So we're going to have to get a hole either in the side or in the top. And I've got an old 90 degree that we can pop a hole anywhere. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to put it on the right side over here. Then we'll go ahead and use this piece of copper that I dug out of my scrap pile, and I put the nut on backwards, and we'll just attach it like this. We can bend this out whatever way we want, and then we'll go ahead and put our overflow line on our tank here. Well, I've taken it inside on the wire wheel, and it turned out pretty decent. So there's a few marks, imperfections all the way around here. I didn't take all the solder off, I just wheeled it down. I'm going to go ahead, I have a weathering kit, and I have some, like I said, I think I've said it a couple times, I've got some Army Drab that we're just going to go ahead, we're not going to fake a patina, we're just going to go ahead and fill in some of the area with a little bit of the green. Maybe I'll do it with my finger, I'm not going to brush it in. And then I'll work on this area right up in here to make it blend in also. So, but right now, what we got to figure out is I'm not going to snap that in there. That takes a little bit of effort to do that. Where we're going to put this overflow on here. I think I'm going to do it right about here. Just put a little scratch in it. Take it off of here. Okay, that's better. And I'll step it up one size here. Let me see if I can just screw this little thing in here. Nope, not yet. Now we'll go in. That one right about there. Okay, let's go ahead and solder that up. Just go with that. And I'm going to need, after I get this in here, I'm going to need something to hold it on the end. There we go. And what I'll do is I'll just take off one leg of this, take the other leg, wrap it around the side here where I'm going to solder it, and just clamp it in place and solder it up. So we're going to take these brass cotter keys and we're going to use them as the standoffs. Like I said, we'll just cut one leg off of that and form it around the side of the tank. And since I missed doing the first one, I guess we're going to have two of them on here. And like on the other one over here, I'm just going to go ahead with my Dremel and go right around this edge and clean it up a little bit. Just so it looks a little nicer, not like you just hacked it off. Okay, now I'll take both of these in and put them on the wire wheel just for a second and smooth that out, and we'll have two standoffs. I'll be right back. Yep, this time the camera was on. Well, I think this is about as good a spot as any to cut this thing short. We're not done by far, but you know, I didn't think it was going to run this long. I didn't realize what I wanted to explain, how long it was going to take me. I know I ramble sometimes, but I want to throw this out there too. We just might be sending that off as a gift. I just got to figure out how we're going to do this, but we're going to have a little contest. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much to my new subscribers. Thank you very much to my old subscribers. I appreciate all you guys. You know, I have come out with a lot of videos lately, and my station's still growing. I only have 181 right now, but you know something? It might not be a lot compared to some people, but it's a whole lot more than I thought when I first started this thing. You know, I started it from my flathead V8 stuff, and it kind of morphed into the machining area. But I don't mind. I'm having a blast. Kind of hard for a 6-year-old mentality to get wrapped up in all this here, you know. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the second half, and I'll figure out what kind of contest we're going to do on this overflow tank here, okay? Till next time, thank you very much. Don't forget, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, it doesn't cost you a penny. You can opt out anytime you want if you don't like the content. You don't have to hit the bell, but it would be really nice. You'd know when I got something new out there. So, until next time, this is Flathead Ron. Be safe in the shop, guys. Okay? I'll see you next time.